Every woman has a unique sexual essence, and in my work with women, I find that they are often off their essence. They're responding to who their partners want them to be, or who the culture has taught them to be, or maybe what their church has taught them to be, or their religious background, sometimes what their wounding, what their trauma has taught them to be. And they're not really connected to their unique sexual essence. So the sexual essence wheel is a tool that I use sometimes with women to open up conversations about possibility and creativity and imagination, and to expand the framework that they've been thinking about who they are as sexual beings. In the wheel, women usually find themselves located in one or two of the quadrants primarily. And often with women, if they spend a lot of time in the nurturing quadrant, they might be stuck in the dutiful partner, duty sex, serving their partner because their partner needs sexuality, but they're really not involved on their own. They're not on their own journey of sexuality or accessing who that might be for them. And by integrating some of the other dimensions of the wheel, they can open up new possibilities for themselves.
So would you be encouraging your analysands or clients to try and develop the undeveloped aspects of the wheel?
Usually that is how a woman will begin to feel more sexually empowered. That's a process, though, because she's likely to bump into what I call gatekeepers, voices of warning. So we have to negotiate, we have to dialogue and unpack what the voices of warning are saying to her about what would it mean for her to have a more expanded sense of self. And so that's a lot of deep work, which involves really claiming oneself and what it might mean to claim oneself. How might that change the dynamics in a relationship and concerns about that? And all those, the many, many messages that we get about the dangers of becoming a more sexually expressive or sexually empowered female. I have a technique that I like to use called voice dialogue. And so sometimes I will have a female, if I'm sensing that I'm actually bumping into a gatekeeper, I might say, well, let's speak to, tell me this voice inside of you that tells you these things. Could I talk directly to that voice? And I'll have her move over a scooch, and then I'll begin to interview the voice and give it a name and a history. And it's very amazing to encounter fire and brimstone preachers from her youth, or maybe her puritanical, buttoned-up grandmother, or a previous husband, or any number of inner individuals, inner characters that we might bump into that have been sort of out of consciousness. But once we surface them and dialogue them, we can move them aside or resolve their issues, and she can move forward in some way that she's felt blocked before. The journey to being embodied has been something that I myself have been traveling through my entire life, and noticing how incredibly disembodied Westerners are in general. We tend to be a very thinking-oriented culture, and people in psychology tend to be somewhat thinking-oriented. We have all these paradigms and models, and we analyze people. The work that I do with people, I try not to analyze people. I try to be with them and to discover a sense of their essence, and to help them to discover that themselves, and to make space for that and give them encouragement for that to come forward. Many women have sex as a disembodied experience. They're really not in their bodies, they're in their heads, which is a lot of where problems start in terms of sexual dysfunction for both men and women. And so the journey into the body, into the awareness of the subtle sensations of the body, and a welcoming of a variety of things that are moving through the body, consciousness of that, being able to track it, being able to engage it and employ it for discovery and for healing are very important.